You ever hear someone say something that sticks in your chest like a splinter? Mine was this: "You'll be back in 6 months. Tops." That's what Aunt Linda said the day I packed my last box and stood at the door of my childhood home. Her arms were crossed. She didn't even pretend to hug me goodbye. Just watched me load my 2 suitcases into the back of my old Honda, like she was watching a car crash happen in slow motion. "You'll see," she added with that tight little smile that always meant more judgment than kindness. "This world eats girls like you alive. Girls like me. 24, no degree, barely a credit score, and a dream so big it barely fit in the car with me. My name's Ashley Rivera, and I don't come from much. Just a line of people who learned how to settle early and stay bitter longer. After my mom passed, I lived with Aunt Linda and Uncle Ron. They weren't cruel, just cold. The kind of people who believe dreams are luxuries, that success only belongs to the ones who already have it. "You should be grateful we even took you in," they'd say. "You're not one of ours, but we treat you like it." I'd hear that whenever I dared to ask for anything extra. New shoes, a little space, a quiet room to draw in. Art was always my thing. Sketchbooks under my bed, charcoal on my fingers, staying up late to trace the edges of a life I didn't have yet. I wanted to open a design business someday, something small, maybe a creative studio, posters, interiors, maybe even branding, something that took beauty and made it useful. But in that house, design isn't a job, it's a phase, Uncle Ron would scoff, remote in hand as if switching channels was a full-time career. "You better find yourself a man with a real future," Aunt Linda would add, tapping her cigarette ash into the sink. I didn't want a man. I wanted independence, so I got a part-time job at a copy shop, saved every dime, and waited for the moment I could leave. And when it came, finally, after 3 years of skipped outings, hoarded paychecks and secret dreams, I left, moved 2 hours away to a city that didn't know my name, rented a one-bedroom apartment the size of a shoebox, the kind of place where the oven door hits the fridge if you open it wrong, but it was mine. I got a job as a receptionist at a boutique marketing agency, not glamorous, but enough to keep the lights on, and at night, I designed flyers for local bands, menus for food trucks, posters for art shows I couldn't afford to go to. Anything that paid I said yes to. Slowly those gigs turned into clients, one by one, but I kept hearing Aunt Linda's voice in my head. "You'll be back in 6 months, top." So every time I felt tired, every time I missed home, even if home was just a place where I was tolerated, not loved, I sketched, I emailed, I pitched, I created, until one afternoon, sitting in my apartment surrounded by half-drunk coffee cups and rejected drafts, I got an email that made me sit straight up. A boutique bakery wanted a full rebrand, a real client, one with a budget, one with vision. It was my first chance to prove I could do more than logos for lemonade stands. We had our first meeting in a tiny cafe. I wore my one good blazer and the only heels I owned that didn't squeak. The owner, Maria, was kind. She liked my ideas. She said my portfolio had heart. "I've met 100 designers," she said. "But you've got something extra." She didn't know it, but that sentence was the first time in years someone had believed in me without adding but. I poured myself into that project, worked nights, skipped meals, lost track of weekends, and when the new brand launched, it blew up. Maria's bakery tripled its traffic in 2 weeks. Word got around. I became the girl who helped a business go viral. And suddenly, I wasn't just scraping by. I had a client waitlist. I quit my receptionist job, went full-time freelance, hired a bookkeeper, leveled up, and every time I sent out an invoice or saw my designs in a storefront window, I remembered those words. "You'll be back in 6 months." 6 months passed, then 12, then 2 years. I never went back, but I never forgot. One rainy Thursday, while scrolling listings for a possible office space, I came across something familiar. A building. Their building. The one Aunt Linda and Uncle Ron had lived in since the 90s. The same beige 2-story structure with mismatched bricks and an old bakery on the first floor. It was up for sale. Cheap, too. The landlord was moving out of state. Wanted it gone fast. I stared at the screen like it was a ghost. and my heart started pounding. This was it. Not for revenge. Not really. But maybe a little. Because the truth is, I never wanted to hurt them. I just wanted them to see that I wasn't a throwaway, that I was capable, that art wasn't a joke, that I wasn't a joke, and maybe owning the building they lived in would finally say it loud enough. I called the number. The realtor answered with a cheerful, "Hello, this is Cindy." I asked about the property. She asked about financing. I had enough for a down payment. Barely. But with a couple solid contracts lined up and a business loan I'd been pre-approved for last year, it was doable. It was risky. But so was staying small just to keep other people comfortable. I toured the place the next day. The halls still smelled like the same lemon cleaner Aunt Linda used. The tiles were cracked in the lobby. The stairs creaked like old bones. But it was solid, livable, full of potential. 2 apartments upstairs, one occupied by my aunt and uncle, one empty. I looked around the vacant unit, wide windows, faded carpet, a kitchen that needed love, and then I looked at Cindy. "I want it," I said. She blinked. "You want to lease it?" "No," I said, with a smile forming slowly. "I want to buy the whole building." I wake up in the tiny studio apartment I rented 2 weeks ago. The mattress is still on the floor, and my breakfast is half a granola bar and black coffee I brewed on a second-hand machine. It's nothing like the cushy guest room I used to sleep in at my aunt and uncle's house, but it's mine. I stretch, wincing a little. The mattress springs, dig into my back. My laptop is still on the floor where I left it, open to a spreadsheet that probably looks like chaos to anyone else, but not to me. Every line is a goal, every column a timeline, every tab a plan. I've always been a planner. Maybe that's what annoyed them most. At 24, I've spent the last 4 years under their roof. After my mom passed suddenly and my dad moved overseas with his new wife, my Aunt Jill offered me a place to stay while I figured things out. And I was grateful. So grateful I ignored the condescension, the backhanded compliments, the way she'd sigh every time I mentioned trying to get my graphic design business off the ground. "You know, sweetie," she'd say, smiling just enough to make it sound polite, "there's nothing wrong with finding something stable, like being an assistant or a receptionist." That's how I got started. Uncle Phil didn't speak as much, but his looks were louder than words. Every time I pitched a new client idea at dinner, his eyes would scan over me like I was speaking another language. Then he'd go back to talking about his accounting firm and how young people don't hustle like they used to. But the worst part? It wasn't the insults. It was the way they acted like they were rescuing me. Like every meal I ate came with a side of guilt. "We've done so much for you," Aunt Jill would say. Especially when I didn't do exactly what she wanted. I cooked, cleaned, watched their dog when they went on trip. I kept their secrets, stayed out of the way, and tried to make something of myself from a folding desk in the corner of the guest room. Still, I was a burden. I remember the moment everything shifted. I had just landed my biggest freelance contract yet. A 6-month branding project for a startup out of Austin. It paid well, so well, I cried when I got the offer. I came home buzzing. I was going to treat us all to dinner, my treat. I wanted to say thank you. Aunt Jill didn't even look up from her wine glass. "That's nice, honey, but don't get ahead of yourself. One lucky break doesn't make a career." I laughed it off, but something inside me snapped. Maybe it had been cracking for years. Later that night, I started looking for apartments. Cheap ones with peeling paint and leaky sinks, because I needed out, not just of their house, but of their version of who I was supposed to be. Now, sitting cross-legged on my floor with a notebook in my lap, I start sketching. The plan isn't just to survive, it's to grow. The startup gig gave me enough to get a place and invest in a better design rig. With a few returning clients and a growing portfolio, I can make it. And if I can keep this momentum, maybe even expand. But there's one thing I keep circling back to. That building downtown. It's a 3-story walk-up, red brick, peeling white trim, a coffee shop on the corner, an old bookstore on the other side. The upstairs floors are divided into rental units. A couple families, some older tenants, and I know for a fact my aunt's Pilates studio is on the 2nd floor. It's also the building where Uncle Phil rents office space, for his side accounting business. They've bragged about how affordable and charming it is for years. I saw a for sale sign go up a few days ago. Most people would walk by, but not me. I made a call. The owner, Mr. Crawley, is in his 70s. He's tired of being a landlord, wants to move to Florida. It's not listed yet, but I'm planning to get it on the market next week, he tells me over the phone. I ask if I can come see it. 2 days later, I'm walking the narrow halls with a clipboard in one hand, and my heart pounding in my chest. The place needs work. The railings are loose. The third-floor hallway smells like damp carpet, but it has history, charm, potential. Miss Crawley smiles at me like I remind him of his granddaughter. What are you thinking of doing with it? He asks. I hesitate. I'm still working that out. But I believe in this space. He nods like that's enough. I don't have the money to buy it outright, not even close. But I have the startup contract, a growing client list, and a line of credit I've been building for 2 years. And I've been working on a grant application for young female entrepreneurs. If the numbers line up, and if the universe decides to finally throw me a bone, this building could be mine. It's a long shot. But then again, so was moving out, and I did that. Back in my apartment, I pull an all-nighter. I rewrite my business plan, design a mock renovation blueprint, call 3 contractors for quotes. I set up a virtual meeting with a loan officer at a local credit union, and I finish my grant application. When I hit submit on the last form at 5 I feel like I've run a marathon, but a good one, a victorious one. I collapse onto the mattress and sleep like I haven't in weeks. 3 weeks pass. The startup project is going well. My bank account doesn't look like a graveyard anymore. And then it happens. An email. Subject line: Congratulations, you've been awarded the Young Women in Business grant. I scream so loud I scare my downstairs neighbor's cat. The grant, plus my line of credit and income projections, makes it real. I call Mr. Crawley the next day. I'm ready to make an offer. There's silence on the line for a second. Then, I had a few inquiries come in last week. But I like you. I'll give you first shot. We talk numbers. I send over the proposal. And just like that, I'm under contract. The closing process is slow, complicated, full of legalese and inspections, and more signatures than I thought possible. But I do it. And on a rainy Thursday afternoon, I sit in a stuffy office with a pen in my hand and sign the final document. The building is mine. Mine. I step outside holding the keys. I don't have an umbrella, but I don't care. The rain hits my face like a baptism. I think about all the times they said I wouldn't make it. And now, they pay rent. To me, they just don't know it yet. You know what they don't tell you about starting over? It's quiet. It's not like in the movies where there's this big montage and suddenly you're thriving. No. Real healing happens in the quiet. In between missed paychecks, ramen noodles, and waiting for laundry to dry in a machine that sounds like it might explode. I'm 23, and my apartment has no couch, no TV, and no working oven. But I have a little folding table from the thrift store and a set of secondhand paints. And I sit there every night, staring at blank canvas like it's a mirror. They said I'd never make it without them, and I believe them. Sometimes, in the dark, in the silence, when the bank account hits zero, and the fridge has nothing but mustard and baking soda. But then I paint, and when I paint, I'm someone else, someone brave, someone honest, someone who doesn't ask for permission. My first job is at a supply store. Minimum wage, no benefits. Rude manager who always asks if I'm sure this is enough for someone your age, like it's a hobby, like survival is something I picked up for fun. But I keep showing up, keep restocking, keep ringing up customers who wear pearl earrings and complain about the price of sketch pads, while I count pennies just to afford one. At night, I bring home scraps, torn paper, half-dried markers, unsold notebooks. I draw with whatever I can, on whatever I can. Napkins, receipts, the inside of cereal boxes, anything. And slowly, I start building something. One day, I leave a sketchbook at a cafe by accident. I'm halfway down the block before I realize it, panic crashing into me like a wave. That sketchbook has everything. My anger, my hope, my face, in lines and shade. I run back like my soul's on the line. The barista holds it out to me, her eyes wide. You did this, she asks. I nod, heart pounding. She turns the sketchbook to a page, a portrait of a woman crying into her coffee. I'd drawn it right there a week earlier. I thought no one noticed. That's me, she whispers. You captured something real. And just like that, I'm not invisible. A week later, she pins my name to the cafe wall with a little note. Artist behind the sketchbook. Ask her for commissions. I laugh when I see it. But then someone does ask, and I say yes. Because I'm tired of being broke. Tired of waiting for someone to rescue me. Tired of hearing my family in my head every time I try something new. I draw a dog portrait. For a regular. A birthday card. For a little girl's grandmother. A mural. For the cafe bathroom door. It's just flowers and vines. But people love it. The owner gives me $50. I feel like I just won the lottery. That night, I call my sister. I don't know why. Maybe because I want to tell someone. But the moment she picks up, I regret it. You sound tired, she says. Still working that sad little store job? I pause. I started selling art, I say. There's silence. Then, that's cute. Still chasing dreams, huh? And just like that, the wind leaves my lungs. I hang up before she can say more. Then I cry. I cry not because she hurt me, but because I let myself hope she wouldn't. A month passes, then two, and I start seeing my work pop up around town. A print here, a sticker there, my initials, tiny, but proud, at the bottom of each piece. I still scrub floors at night, still eat dollar store pasta, but I'm making something, slowly, brick by emotional brick. Then one day, the cafe owner introduces me to someone named Natalie. She owns a tiny boutique gallery space downtown, wants to feature local unheard voices. And I laugh when she says that, because that's exactly what I am, unheard. I bring her my sketchbook. She flips through it like it's sacred. Then she looks up and says, let's do a show. I don't sleep for 3 days. I work late, draw, until dawn, drink too much coffee and not enough water. My hands ache from holding pencils too long, but I make it. I paint a series called After the Door Slammed. Each canvas is a memory, a moment from the days after I walked away from home. The first one is just a chair and a suitcase. The second, an empty fridge. The third, a girl with her head in her hand. The fourth is a house made of cracked mirrors, because that's how they raised me to see myself only through their reflection. Opening night is small, just a handful of people, string lights, some crackers and cheap wine. But to me, it feels like Madison Square Garden. Natalie gives a little speech. People clap. I stand awkwardly in the corner trying not to cry. Then a woman walks up. She's about 60, hair in a braid, tears in her eyes. She points at a piece called Echoes in the Silence. It's a dark room with a tiny light in the corner. That's how it felt when my husband left, she whispers. You painted my grief. And in that moment, I realize, this is bigger than me. More people start coming in, asking questions, buying prints, leaving notes. You reminded me I'm not alone. I haven't painted in 10 years. You gave me the courage. I thought I was broken. Now I think I'm just unfinished. Every word hits like a salve, like permission to keep going. I sell 3 originals that night, enough to pay my rent for 2 months. When I walk home, I'm shaken. Not from fear, from power. For the first time in my life, I believe I'm enough. Later that week, I get a voicemail from my cousin Jenna. You're on Facebook, she says. Someone shared your art. It's actually really good. Actually. That word always stings. Like surprise is the only way people can compliment me. I don't call her back because I'm not doing this for them. Not anymore. I keep painting, keep selling. I make a deal with Natalie to show new pieces every 3 months. We call the series Reclamation. The next set is about childhood, a girl with crayons, scolded for making a mess. Another with her head in a book, ignored. One titled Be Quiet When Grown-Ups Talk. That one sells in 5 minutes. A woman in a suit says she wants to hang it in her office. It reminds me why I speak up now, she says. My family finds out. Eventually, I get a message from my mom. We heard about your art. It's nice you found something to keep you busy. That's all she says. No apology, no pride, just that same hollow pat on the head. And I realize she's still trying to keep me small. But I'm not small anymore. I'm growing, loudly. One day, I walk by the old building they live in, the one I used to call home. It's run down, peeling paint, a busted mailbox, and a for sale sign in the window. Something sparks inside me. Something bold. I snap a photo of the number, not because I think I can afford it, but because I'm tired of asking for space. Tired of proving myself to people who never listened. Maybe it's time to stop surviving in the shadows and start owning the light. You ever notice how people only start paying attention once you stop asking for their attention? That's the thing I learned fastest after moving out. No one checks in. Not my aunt. Not my uncle. Not even Jenna, my cousin who used to say she was like my sister. The girl who used to braid my hair and then uninvite me from birthday dinners the moment her friends came around. It's like I've disappeared. And weirdly, that silence becomes a kind of freedom. A sharp, painful one. But freedom all the same. I get up at 5 a.m. most mornings. Not because I'm ambitious, at least not in the way my uncle would define it, but because it's quiet. And the world hasn't started doubting me yet. It's the only time I can think clearly. I sip cheap coffee in my kitchen and stare out the cracked window above the sink. Some mornings, I journal. Other times I sketch blueprints in the margins of old notebooks, buildings, layouts, a vision of something that hasn't existed yet. I'm still working 2 jobs, still paying rent on a studio apartment that's too cold in the winter and too hot in the summer. But I've started saving. $250 there. I say no to takeout. I say no to happy hour. I say yes to every shift no one else wants. It's not glamorous, but neither was the life they had mapped out for me under their roof. My first big break comes from a woman named Leslie. She owns a corner bodega 2 streets down from my apartment. And one day her awning collapses from rust and time. I'm there grabbing coffee and duct tape because my toilet tank is leaking, and I end up helping her clean up the mess. She watches me climb the rickety ladder and says, "You good with your hands?" I nod. I used to do maintenance work for my uncle. She hands me a business card with the name of her cousin scrawled on the back. He's flipping houses. Needs someone who doesn't charge 6 figures just to fix a door frame. I call that night. I start part-time. Within 2 weeks, I'm gutting bathrooms and rewiring kitchens. Within 2 months, I'm reading real estate books between jobs, watching every property YouTube channel known to mankind, and learning the value of zoning codes and tax lanes. Knowledge becomes my weapon, my currency, my armor. And slowly, the dream becomes a blueprint I can touch. I don't talk to my family during this time, not because I'm angry, but because I'm focused. The first property I ever look at buying is a joke. A broken building with a collapsed roof and mold climbing up the walls like ivy. But I stand inside it and feel the bones of it. The potential. It's priced dirt cheap because it's been abandoned for years, and the owners just want to offload it. I run the numbers, call inspectors, negotiate with lawyers. I sleep with a calculator app open on my phone like some people sleep with dating apps. And finally, I buy it. My name goes on something. For the first time, I own something more than just my own belief. The day I sign the closing papers, I cry. Not a sob. Not a breakdown. Just a quiet, steady stream of tears in the hallway bathroom of the building. It doesn't look like much. The pipes are busted. The floors creak. The basement floods if it rains for more than 2 days in a row. But it's mine. And when I look in the mirror above the sink, a mirror so fogged and scratched it barely reflects, I still see her. The girl who was told she was lucky to have a roof. The girl who handed over rent to her own family like it was a privilege. I smile at her. Because she didn't quit. The renovations take everything out of me. Money, energy, time, sweat. There are days I fall asleep in the front room with a paint roller in my hand and drywall dust on my cheeks. But each coat of paint is a new layer of dignity. Every floorboard nailed down is a promise to my future self. I don't post updates on social media. I don't make it a performance. But people start noticing. Neighbors wave more. One even brings me a sandwich when she sees I haven't left the property in 14 hours. That building starts to change me. I become someone with plans, with answers, with value. Not the family punchline, not the poor little girl who got in over her head. Months pass, then a year, then two, and by the time I'm ready to list the newly renovated units for rent, I know what I'm doing. I have contracts. I have rates. I have spreadsheets that would make my cousin Jenna's finance bros cry. The place gets attention quickly. Location's good, rent is fair, everything's brand new, and then a name appears in one of the rental inquiries that makes me drop my phone. Jenna, my cousin. Turns out she and her fiancé just got priced out of their last place. Her email says, "We're looking for a 2-bedroom in your area. Heard great things about your building." I laughed loud and long and with my whole chest, because the world is a circle, and it just came back around. I don't reply immediately. I let it sit, then I schedule a viewing for her. I don't say it's me. When she arrives with her fiancé, she's wearing sunglasses that cost more than my first tool set. Her voice is a little too loud, too polished. She doesn't recognize me right away. I've changed. Confidence does that to a person. I take off my gloves and smile. "Jenna," she stares, then blinks, then her mouth opens. "Oh my God, it's you?" I nod. "Yeah, I manage the building." I don't tell her I own it. Not yet. She fumbles. Compliments the fixtures. Praises the sunlight in the kitchen. Her fiancé asks if we can negotiate on the deposit. I hand them the lease paperwork. Quiet. Calm. And at the very top, next to the building's ownership name, is mine. She stares at it. Then looks back up at me. "You own this?" "Yes," I say, not breaking eye contact. Every inch of it, silence. The same kind they used to weaponize against me. Only now, it belongs to me. You know that moment when everything shifts? Not like an earthquake. Loud, destructive, impossible to ignore. No, I'm talking about the quiet shift. The kind that starts with a missed call, a polite message, and ends with people pretending they've always supported you. That's what this part of my story is about. The part where the people who told me I'd never make it suddenly wanted to talk, and I'm no longer the one knocking on their door. I'm the one who owns it. I'm sitting in the newly renovated office on the second floor of the building. My building, watching the afternoon sun hit the windows just right. The fresh paint smell is still strong, and the plants I bought for the windowsill haven't started drooping yet. It's quiet, peaceful, until my phone buzzes. A text from Aunt Patricia. "Hey sweetheart, any chance you'd have time to meet for coffee? There's something I'd love to talk to you about." XO. She hasn't called me sweetheart since I was in middle school, and she hasn't asked to meet for coffee since ever. I don't reply right away. Instead, I lean back in my chair, fingers steepled under my chin, thinking. Because I know exactly what this is about. It started a few weeks ago. After the property purchase finalized, I let things sit for a bit. I didn't go waving paperwork in their faces. I didn't change the locks or demand meetings. I simply let them notice. The letters went out quietly. My lawyer made sure every tenant received a professional notice. "We're pleased to inform you that the ownership of your commercial lease property has changed hands. The new owner, Ms. Jamie Lawson, looks forward to working with you. No threats. No revenge. Just fact." I didn't want to destroy them. I just wanted them to see me. Really see me. And slowly, painfully, they started to. My Uncle Ben was the first to call. His voice on the line was coated in forced politeness. "Jamie. Wow. Congrats. Big moves, huh? Listen, I was wondering if you'd be open to a quick chat. Just a little clarity about the lease terms. Nothing serious." I could hear it in his voice. That twitchy uncertainty. Like he wasn't sure whether I'd slam the door in his face or offer him a chair. And honestly, I wasn't sure either. But I agreed. Calmly. coolly, because sometimes silence is louder than screaming. Back in the office, I finally reply to Aunt Patricia. Sure. Tomorrow work? She replies almost instantly. Yes. I'll bring your favorite hazelnut latte, right? And just like that, the woman who once laughed when I said I'd start my own business now wants to bring me coffee. The next morning, I wear the blazer she once mocked for being too ambitious. She'd said, Jamie, no one's going to take you seriously in that color. It's too much. Try beige. It's coral, bright, joyful, unapologetic. I sip my latte slowly, while she sits across from me, smiling like we're old friends. Like she didn't spend the last few years whispering that I'd end up broke or back in her basement. So, she begins stirring her coffee. We're all so impressed by what you've done. The whole family's been talking about it. I nod. I'm sure. And well, we've had that little shop downstairs for years. It's our baby, you know that? So I just wanted to ask if everything's staying the same. She's trying to sound casual, but her eyes are tight. I keep my voice light. For now, yeah. Though I do have some plans to improve the building, make it more community focused. Right. Of course. Her smile twitches. Well, if there's anything we can do to support that, just let us know. We're happy to help. Help? That's rich. They couldn't even loan me help when my car broke down years ago. But now that I hold the deed, suddenly, they're all philanthropists. That afternoon, my cousin Mallory calls. Mallory, who once said I was wasting my 20s on pipe dreams. Mallory, who led the charge in mocking my first failed startup. She leaves a voicemail. Hey Jamie, I just heard you bought the block. That's amazing. Listen, I was actually thinking about starting a little bakery. And I know you have that open space next to the print shop. Would love to talk about maybe renting it. Just us girls. I play the voicemail twice, then I delete it. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity, because this isn't about girls supporting girls. It's about selective memory. I go for a walk that evening, just me and the early summer air. The street feels different now, not because the building's changed, but because I used to walk this block with my head down, hoping no one I knew saw me hustling food delivery gigs or hanging up flyers for freelance work. Now, I walk slow, head high, each step echoing the fact that I belong here. I pass the bookstore, the coffee shop, the salon, all tenants of mine now, and all full of people who used to treat me like I'd never amount to anything. Funny how people look at you differently once your name's on their rent check. But here's the thing. This isn't about revenge. It's about redemption. I don't want them to grovel. I want them to finally understand, to realize that the girl they dismissed is the woman who saved the street from being bulldozed by a developer who didn't care about the community. Because that almost happened. The original buyer wanted to turn it all into luxury condos. High rent, no soul. I swooped in just in time, thanks to a contact from a grant program I joined last year. He believed in me, a stranger. Funny how sometimes strangers see you clearer than family ever could. I host a tenant meeting 2 weeks later. The same conference room, where I once cried after losing my first job, is now filled with business owners sitting across from me. Some smile, some avoid eye contact. A few whisper when I walk in. I open with a simple sentence. I'm not here to raise the rent or kick anyone out. I'm here to make this block better for all of. Silence. Then murmurs. Then relief. That night, I paint a new sign for the front lobby. It says Lawson Square, Est, 2025. My name, my vision, my future. But the peace doesn't last long, because Kevin, my uncle's son, decides he's not going down without a fight. He owns a bar on the block, the kind that barely scrapes by, thanks to his own poor management. And he's furious about the ownership change. About me. He corners me outside the building one night, voice sharp. So this is your little empire now? I nod. It is. He scoffs. You think you're better than us now, huh? I shake my head. No. I just think I believed in myself when no one else did. That makes a difference. He mutters something I don't catch and walks away. And I let him. Because I don't need to prove anything. My success speaks louder than any argument. And yet, even as things stabilize, part of me wonders, will they ever truly respect me? Or will they just pretend to, as long as I hold the power? The answer comes in an unexpected way, from the one person I least expected. Grandma. She sends me a letter, handwritten. Inside, it says, Jamie, I saw what you did, and I'm proud. I know the others made you feel small, but I never believed you were. You remind me of your grandfather. He built everything from nothing, just like you. Keep going. I read it twice, then again, and I cry, not from pain, from healing. Because sometimes the apology doesn't come from the ones who hurt you. It comes from the one who always saw the truth, even if they never said it out loud, until now. And that's enough. For now. You'd think buying the building my family rents from would give me some kind of peace, but it doesn't. Not at first. It brings silence, distance, cold stares and awkward texts. My uncle doesn't speak to me at all. My aunt only sends one message. So you think you're better than us now? And then deletes it before I can even reply. And my mother, she calls, a lot. At first I let it ring. I'm not ready. Not after all the years of being spoken over, brushed off, ignored. But eventually curiosity wins. I answer. Her voice is soft, too soft. I heard the news. I stay quiet. She continues. That building? Your uncle said it sold. Yeah. I say. It did. You bought it? Her voice cracks, like she already knows the answer but needs to hear me say it. I did. She exhales like someone punched her in the chest. Why? Why? I laugh quietly. Not because it's funny. Because it's absurd that she still needs an explanation. After everything. After the years of being treated like I was fragilely incapable, dependent on them. Because I could, I say. Because you told me I never would. There's silence on the line. Then, in the smallest voice I've ever heard her use, she whispers, I didn't mean it like that. But she did. They all did. Every time they said, you wouldn't make it out there alone, or you'll come crawling back, or we took you in, you owe us, they didn't raise me. They raised my dependence. And now I've broken free. I'm not here to hurt anyone, I say. But I'm not going to apologize for doing what you all said I couldn't. She doesn't say much after that, just hangs up. And honestly, that's fine. The first few months after the purchase are strange. I become a quiet presence, a ghost in their world. The new landlord they don't want to deal with, but have to. I don't raise the rent. I don't threaten to evict anyone. I just make repairs, handle things professionally, remove the old management company that used to ignore their complaints. Ironically, I fix problems they used to blame the building for. Leaky pipes, broken stair lights, a mailbox that hadn't latched properly in 3 years. I improve their lives without saying a word, but that doesn't earn their respect. It earns resentment. One day, I'm at the property checking in on repairs. I keep my distance. Like always, I don't want to invade their space. I just want to make sure the electrician finishes the hallway rewiring. As I'm walking out, I see her, my cousin Sierra, the one who once told me I'd be forever single and broke. She stands at the mailbox, arms crossed, eyebrows lifted. Wow, she says. Look who thinks she's the boss now. I shrug. I don't think I am. I am, she scoffs. Whatever. You think buying a building makes you important? No, I say. Being underestimated for 20 years and then proving everyone wrong, that's what makes me important. She doesn't reply, just glares like she's trying to set me on fire with her eyes. I leave before she can say anything else, but it still stings. The anger they feel isn't about the building, it's about control. They were comfortable knowing I needed them. It made them feel powerful, and now that I don't, they're lost. Because people who build their identity on being above you don't know what to do when you rise. Weeks pass. I pour myself into my job, into my tenants, into making the place feel safe and respected. Then one morning, I get a message. It's from my younger cousin Madison. She's barely 20, the one everyone always said had so much promise. She was supposed to be the golden girl, but now, she's living in the building too, struggling. She texts, Can I talk to you? I'm sorry for what I said before. I don't know what she wants, but I agree to meet her at the local cafe. She arrives wearing a hoodie and jeans, no makeup, eyes puffy like she's been crying. Thanks for coming, she mumbles. I sit across from her, sipping my coffee. What's going on? She sighs. They make it sound like you betrayed the family. I raise my eyebrows. But I don't know. She continues. You didn't really do anything wrong. You bought a building. You worked for it. They're just mad because it was you. I let her words settle. She leans forward. And I guess I wanted to say, I see it now. Everything they did to you. They do it to me, too. The guilt trips. The control. The way they make you feel small when you're trying to grow. My chest tightens. Because for the first time in years, someone from my family is saying what I always wished they would. I'm not brave like you, Madison says. But I want to be. I just don't know how. I look at her, really look, and I see the girl I used to be, trying to please everyone, walking on eggshells, swallowing her truth. You don't have to be brave all at once. You just have to stop apologizing for existing. She nods slowly, like she's never heard that before. Before we leave, I slide a spare key across the table. What's this? I have a unit that's being renovated. It'll be ready next month. If you need space, real space, it's your. Her eyes well up. Rent-free for 3 months. After that, we'll talk. She bites her lip, shaking her head. Why are you being so kind after everything? And I smile. Because no one did that for me. And I don't want to become that. That night, I walk through the quiet of the apartment I now call home. It's not fancy, just warm, peaceful, mine. I glance at a framed quote on my wall. It's something I painted when I was younger, before everything fell apart. Your wings were never broken, just full. I think of how far I've come, from being told I'd fail, to helping someone else find the strength to try. Then my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize, but I pick up anyway. Hi, the voice says. This is Patricia from the Daily Spotlight. We heard about the building story, your family living in a property you bought. It's a compelling narrative. Would you be open to an interview? I pause. An interview? All my life, my family told me I was nothing. Now the world is interested in how I proved them wrong. I'll think about it. Because this story, my story, isn't about revenge. It's about reclamation. And maybe it's time the world hears what it really means to take your power back. I sit behind my new desk, the morning sun stretching through the wide windows of the corner office. I used to dream of this, a view like this. A silence this full of power. My fingers tap lightly on the armrest of my chair. Below, I can see the bakery opening its shutters, the cafe pulling out patio tables. And just across the courtyard, the second-floor tenants moving slowly inside the unit I now own. The unit my family lives in. It's been a year since I signed the papers and became the owner of the building. Not just a unit, not just a slice. The building. Every square foot of it belongs to me now. My name on every deed. My lawyer made sure of it. At first I didn't do anything. I kept everything the same. No changes. No rent hikes. No notices. Let them feel comfortable. Let them think they're safe. But comfort has a funny way of making people sloppy. Especially people like my mother, my stepfather, and my 2 step-siblings, who never thought I'd be anything more than a burden. They've grown used to their lives in that apartment. Rent-controlled, underpriced, too good to be real. And it was. For them at least. Until now. This morning, I signed the letter. I fold the notice carefully, press it into the envelope, and seal it. Certified mail, I tell the receptionist as I hand it over. Same address as always. And make sure it requires a signature. She nods, unaware of the history soaked into those pages. I don't feel nervous. I don't feel guilty. I feel ready. Later that day, I walk through the building. Tenants smile at me now. They know me, respect me. I helped renovate the laundry room. I fixed the plumbing issues others ignored. I turned this place into something better, something I wish I had growing up. On the second floor, I pass Unit 24. Their unit. I pause briefly, listening. TV noise, a microwave beeping, footsteps. It's almost funny how ordinary everything sounds, how normal, as if this place isn't a monument to every time they told me I wouldn't survive on my own. I keep walking. Tomorrow, the letter will arrive. Tomorrow, everything changes. The next afternoon, I'm reviewing documents in my office when my assistant pokes her head in. There's a situation downstairs, she says gently. I look up. What kind of situation? 3 people demanding to speak with you. One of them said, and I quote, "Tell her her family's here, and she better come out." I take a slow breath, so they got the letter. Send them up, I say, calm as ever. When they walk into the office, it's like a scene from a movie. My mother in her oversized coat, lips pressed tight, eyes darting around like she's trying to find the hidden cameras. My stepfather, fuming silently behind her, arms crossed like he's still the one in control. And Rachel, my stepsister, dragging behind them in fuzzy slippers and a messy bun, looking more irritated than shocked. Is this a joke? My mother snaps. I sit up straight in my chair. No, it's not. She slams the letter down on my desk. You're evicting us? I meet her eyes without flinching. No, I'm offering you an updated lease agreement. The old one expired months ago. I've included the market-adjusted rent. My stepfather growls. You can't do this. We've lived there for years. I nod. Yes, under a lease. That's how renting works. You're kicking your own family out? Rachel scoffs. That's cold. I stand slowly, walking around the desk. My heels click softly on the polished floor. You know what's cold? I say, my voice low. Being told you'll never make it. Being left behind. Being laughed at when you ask for help. That's cold. My mother's face hardens. We raised you. No. You tolerated me. There's a difference. Silence. I gesture toward the lease in her hand. You have 60 days to either sign the new lease or find a new place. My stepfather steps forward. You think you're better than us now? I tilt my head slightly. No, I think I finally understand my worth. And I'm not going to shrink so you can stay comfortable. Rachel mutters something under her breath, but I don't ask her to repeat it. I've heard enough from her for one lifetime. They leave without another word, but I know they'll be back, because deep down, they still think they can change my mind. They don't realize they already did, years ago, when they made me fight for everything I have. A few weeks pass. They haven't signed the new lease. They haven't made other arrangements. Instead, I hear from mutual acquaintances that they're complaining loudly to anyone who'll listen about how cruel I'm being. They said she wouldn't make it, one neighbor tells me with a smile, but now they're worried she'll throw them out. Oh, the irony. I smile politely, but I know what's coming next. Day 45. 15 days left. My phone rings. It's Rachel. I don't answer. Then a text comes through. Can we talk? Just us. No drama. I wait. Then I reply. Come to my office. Alone. She arrives an hour later. Same slippers. Same attitude, but something's different. She looks tired. I don't want to fight, she says, sliding into the seat across from me. Good, I reply. Neither do I. She fidgets. Look, I know we weren't always close, but you don't have to do this. Why not? Because we're family. I study her. She doesn't say sorry. She doesn't say she was wrong. She just wants to be spared the consequences. Family should mean support, I say slowly, not survival. You don't get to call me family, only when it benefits you. She lowers her eye, then softly. We can't afford the new rent. I nod. I know. So what? That's it. No, I say, you have options. I've arranged a meeting with a relocation advisor. There are other units available in the city. Smaller, more affordable. She stares at me. And you just help us move? I'll help you land on your feet. But I won't keep carrying the people who once let me drown. The day they move out, I'm not home. I'm in a meeting across town, discussing a potential expansion. But my building manager texts me a photo. The door to Unit 204 closed. The keys left on the kitchen counter. They're gone. Not a word. Not even a final insult. Just silence. And in that silence, I feel something powerful. Not victory. Not revenge. Just peace. That evening, I walk through the empty unit. It smells like dust and lemon cleaner. The walls still have tiny nail holes where family pictures once hung. I sit on the floor, cross-legged, just breathing. This place used to hold pain for me. Now, it's just another space, another opportunity. I decide to turn it into a community studio. Free workshops, art classes, writing nights, a space for people like me who were told they couldn't, to come together and prove they can. It's been 3 weeks since my mother, stepfather, and Rachel moved out. The old Unit 204 is empty, echoing with a quiet I never thought I'd find comforting. But now, it feels like peace. Like closure. I stand in the middle of the living room, the same one where I was once told to get a real job, and run my fingers along the windowsill. The paint's chipped. The blinds are still the same yellowed plastic, but I don't feel small here anymore. I feel powerful. My phone buzzes. It's Janelle from the community center. "Hey, we've got 20 people signed up for Saturday's open mic night," she says, almost breathless. "You sure you want to host it in the new space?" "Yes," I tell her. "This is exactly what that space is for." I pour everything I have into the remodel. I repaint the walls, rip out the stained carpet, and replace it with sleek hardwood. I bring in local artists to hang their work. I install bookshelves along one wall, donated by friends, former coworkers, and some strangers who saw the story on social media and wanted to help. We call the new space the second story. A little poetic, a lot intentional. The name reminds me that life is always rewriting itself, and that sometimes the best chapters come after you've been told you're not the main character in anyone's story. The opening night is packed. Writers, singers, storytellers, survivors, students. People who were told they'd never make it. People like me. I wear black jeans, a soft blue blouse, and a necklace my biological dad gave me before he passed. A small silver compass. "Something to guide you," he'd said. My heart beats steady as I step up to the microphone. I don't plan to perform, but when I see their faces, young and old, eager and afraid, I know I have to speak. "Welcome to the second story," I say into the mic. This building used to hold pain for me, but today, it holds hope. So tonight, let's fill it with stories of what happens when we rise anyway. The applause shakes something loose in my chest. I breathe in, I smile, and I feel free. A week later, I get an email that freezes me mid-sip of coffee. Subject line: "Hi from Rachel." I hesitate before opening it. The message is short. "Hey, I saw the pictures from your event. It looked beautiful. I've been thinking a lot about how things were, about what I said. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know that I see it now. You really did build something amazing. I'm sorry. I sit with it for a while. It doesn't undo anything, doesn't erase the years, but it's something, not a door, but maybe a window." And that's more than I ever expected from her. In the weeks that follow, the space becomes more than a studio. It becomes a refuge. A young man named Terrence reads his first poem aloud, his voice shaking, his hands tighter than fists. When he finishes, the room stands in a thunder of applause. A woman in her 60s shares a painting she made after escaping an abusive marriage. A 12-year-old with thick glasses and a backpack twice her size teaches us all how to beatbox. And every night, I lock up the space with tears in my eyes, not from sadness, but from knowing that this finally is what it means to build a home. Not 4 walls and a roof, but a place where you're not ashamed to be seen. One morning, A reporter from the local paper calls me. I've heard what you've done with the old complex, she says. And your story? Well, it's the kind people need to hear right now. Can we do a feature? I almost say no. The old me still hides when she hears the word spotlight, but then I remember how far I've come. Yes, I say. Let's talk. A week later, the article is everywhere. She bought the building her family mocked her in. Now she's giving the community a place to heal. My inbox floods with messages. Some kind, some bitter. One, from a cousin I barely remember, reads, "Guess you really showed them, huh? Proud of you." And in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about restoration. It's nearly fall when I run into my mother. I'm getting coffee near the old grocery store when I hear her voice. Danielle? I turn slowly. She looks older, smaller. Her hair is tied back. Her eyes are tired. I nod. Mom. We stare at each other for a long moment. I read the article, she says. I wait. You always were determined, she adds. I guess I didn't see it back then. No, I say quietly. You didn't. She shifts awkwardly. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, there it is. Years late. Still valuable. I give her a small nod. Thank you. She smiles, hesitant. The place looks amazing, by the way. I smile back. It does. We don't hug. We don't cry. We just stand there. Two people finally seeing each other clearly. And it's enough. Months later, I stand in the back of the second story during a writing workshop. A young girl named Kaylee reads from her journal. Her words are shaky, unsure, but strong, like mine used to be. When she finishes, the room claps. She looks down, overwhelmed, and I walk up beside her, hand on her shoulder. You did great, I whisper. She turns to me with wide eyes. Really? Absolutely. I look around the room at the lights, the faces, the open notebooks and vulnerable hearts. This is the legacy they never saw coming. Not a building, not a paycheck, but a place where people become who they're meant to be without fear, because someone believed in them first. And now, they believe in themselves, just like I finally did.